Hello and welcome once again within our topic. My name is Ahmad Khan. I am a cybersecurity researcher. And today's lecture, again, we are going to talk about SQL injection, vulnerabilities. And this lecture, we are going to discuss the input mechanism of user input form and user input senitization and how we can modify object and data in a particular database. So let me give you an example of Facebook. You can see here I have visited facebook.com, and the front page of facebook.com you can see we have a login form where we can insert input or credential like email, our phone number, our password to log into your account. So we will understand how this technique is going to work. What's the magic behind that? The process by which an application accesses a data stored usually is the same regardless of whether that access was triggered by the action of an unprivileged user or application administration. So let me show you some example SQL injection. Today's in this topic we will cover understanding user input mechanism, object modification, and user input sanitization technique. So let me show you one thing. You can see here, let's suppose that we have a form where we can input an email, our username, and we have a form for input box for a password where we can put our password, like same is a case as I said before. In Facebook I can input my email, I can input in the password. I can insert I can insert my username and the password. So let's suppose I have inserted, I have entered in username. My username will be like XYZ. For example, my password will be 6*12345 6. You can see. So by doing this, we have a mechanism. We have an ID. You can see here username equal XYZ and password equal 6 times static operator. Static. Yeah. So this is a tautology. So you can see here between these two operands, we can see we have an operator. AND operator means that if both are true, mean 1 1, we will get 1. 1 means that if both are true, I will write down T for true, the result will be true. Now if this will 0, like if this will false, or if this will false, the result will be false. If one of them will get false, we will get a result false. So both should be true to get the true result. That's why we can see username equal XYZ and password equal like this. If both the username and the password were true, we will get true. If true, we will successfully log into the website, into our account and Facebook. In this example you can see, so we will log into our account. So how the queries for this? You can see username equal XYZ and the password equal 6 times static. So we have a query for this, like the background magic behind this is select all, means select all column from user where user equal XYZ and password like this. So it asking select all from user, from those user where username equal to XYZ and password equal to static and up to so on. If this is exist in the database, we will successfully log in to our website. The web server will return true. If the server will return true, we will successfully log into our account. Now, is it possible to play with this query? Of course. How we can? Let's assume that if I will put like this, sorry for the system error. So if I will put like this, if I will put the you can see single quote, what happened behind this? So it will look like this: username equal XYZ, single quote R1 equal 1 minus. So let me do something like if I will put single quote R1 equal 1 minus. So what does it mean by this? User equal, this means that user equal xyz, comma, single quote, or 1 equal 1, minus minus, password equal, and we can write down like here, int password equals strike up to so on. So what will be the query for this? The query for this is select all from user where username. You can see here for this particular condition, you can see if I will put this, of course, or R will be like here. So you can see here for this particular request, now we can see the query is correct. Of course, this is a tautology like xyz or a1 equal 1. Of course, 1 equal 1. So you can see here the operator between these two operand is R. It means that if one of the condition will true, we will get true, like true equal true, true false equal true, false true equal true. Means that if the username will true, don't worry if the pass if 1 equals 0 or depending on it, we will successfully log into the account. But what if this will true and if the username will wrong? Doesn't matter, because here we have our operator, and if both are the true, it's fine for us. We will be successfully bypass the username authentication. So the query will look like this: select all from user where username xyz, and you can see here this is the character where we have inserted our 1 equal 1. This is minus minus turned for command to command everything, mean to ignore everything after this code. So it will ignore everything. Of course, this is true, will successfully log into the account. So let me understand you how this is gonna work and what's the magic behind that. Now let's suppose that the attacker doesn't know the administration username. Again, I'm going to repeat it, this one, the administration password, like the username for the Facebook, the user password like email, phone number. And some application, the first account and the database is the administrative dependent, but we are not administration SS in this particular example, because we took the example of Facebook. So we are just a user, because this account normally is created manually and then is used to general all other account with application. Furthermore, if the query return the detail for more than one user, most application will simply process the first user whose details are returned. An attacker can often exploit the behavior of the login, like you can see here, is the first user in the database by supplying the username input field. As I said before, if we will supply like this or equal 1 equal 1 minus minus is for command. After this query, we examine all your will be. You can see here, select all from user where username is xyz or it will be like this. So sorry, it will be like this, and of course you can see here. So and the password is, it could be anything, because we use the command which will command everything. So the query will be like this. So xyz or 1 equal 1, which will ignore everything after this. Of course, 1 equal 1 is true, so we will successfully log into the account. Now by executing the query, it will return the username, like it will return 1, by which the username authentication will be bypassed, as I said before. Now what happen if I will use like int, like as we did for the password username equal, let's assume that we know the username for the account but we don't know the password. How we can bypass the password authentication? We talked about the username authentication, how we can bypass the password. So select all from user where user, as we saw before, xyz, and the password equals strike and some tone. So the malicious query will be like, if we will provide like this, instead of what if I will provide int operator, what about this? So the query behind this particular statement is select all from user where username equal xyz. It will include everything in the quotation, and 1 equal 1. It will ignore everything. So the final query will be, which we will get as a result, the resulting query will be like this one. So select all from user where username equal this and 1 equal 1. So this is the same query, select all from user where username equal xyz and password, but instead of password is we used command to ignore everything after this. We used 1 equal 1, which is true. So the username is true and the password is true. We will be successfully logged into the particular account. This is how user input mechanism work. We will provide here and instead of var. That's fine. Now how we can modify the objects, the data in a database. Now by taking the same example, select all from user where user equal xyz and password equal xyz. Let's assume that we have an input form and we entered the username is xyz and the password is strike as I said before. So how the query will be, I can use like what happen if I will provide like this statement, if I provide a single character, and if I will terminate the statement, the query, by providing semicolon, it means that the query will be like this: select all from user where username equal xyz. It will be like this. Let me show you. If I will use semicolon, it means that the query is properly terminated. I can execute another query. So the query, the same thing as I did here, will be like this: select all from user where username equal xyz, terminate the query. I can update user set password. Sorry for the spelling mistake, but you can understand it, what I mean and what I'm going to tell it, like something like this. It will ignore everything. Now you can see we can update the user password attribute. You can see here we have a column user and we have a value for our user password which is equal to like this. We can update this to our own password line. Instead of static, I can use toStatic, means I can modify the password. Or what about this query? If I will use xyz drop table user, I can do this. I can comment everything after this query. So the final query will be like this. So I can drop the table, I can delete the entire table. Or what about this one? Or you can see here username equal xyz. I will terminate the query, create login. I can comment everything after this. So it will create a login. It means that I can modify the object, I can modify the data depending on me. But this kind of login mechanism is very buggy and it is it is vulnerable for SQL injection attack. Let's see now user input senitization. Let me show you. Now you can see here we have another example. So you can see here this is an attacker, this is the server, this is the database. The server send or forward or request to the database and it will gives us a response. Now you can see here, let's assume that we have an input form user, again as we did before, username xyz or 1 equal 1 and a password like this. So how the crafted query string will look like? So let's assume that I have a website like https example login, like I have an example like login.example.com. What about this query? You can see here this is, you can assume this we have a website called example.com that's asking for our login detail. And let's assume that this website sending a GET request to a server, and the GET request we have a query string. You can see how this is a question mark, means that this is a query string. And we are sending a query to our database, to our web server, to to fetch the user. You can see here username equal xyz r, like if I will for now you can ignore this, username equal xyz. If the username xyz exists in database, it will fetch the username and we will see the username. So what happen if I will provide single character? You can see here I forgot the name, I'm so sorry. So r 1 equal 1 minus minus, that will ignore everything after this. Of course, as I have explained the query, it will look like select all from user where username equal xyz r, this one. Of course, this is true, this is a tautology. It means that we will successfully execute the query. This is called successful injection attack. Success injection attack, we will select this. So in case of user input senitization, now you can see here the mechanism for this, the mechanism that I'm using for querying something from a database is not a valid mechanism. What is mean by r 1 equal 1 minus minus comma, you can see here, sorry, colon. This is not a valid mechanism. So in case of some firewall, some web, the query will be rejected, the request will be rejected. So we will not be able to execute the crafted query. The query will be rejected, I mean the request will be rejected, because it's sanitizing the user input. The server looking, I mean the web, you can say the web looking for the user input mechanism, like you can see colon. This is not a valid mechanism. So this request will be rejected by the web server. It will sanitize the user input. How you can bypass the user sanitization? You can testing different type of character, like you can test single, if this will fail, you can double quote, you can try double quote, if this will fail, you can try backslash, forward slash, minus minus, minus, single minus, and person, hash, question mark, depending on the input sanitization technique. I mean depending on the web, how the web is able to use sanitization technique in order to reject a crafted query. So you have to test all these characters one by one in order to bypass user input sanitization technique. And in future lecture we will see all these things, like how we can bypass web, how we can play with databases. This is just I'm going to give you an idea because this is necessary. If you don't have an idea, if you cannot understand the technique, the mechanism behind all these query, believe me, you will not be able to do anything, you will not be able to do anything. So first you have to understand all these things, how it's gonna work, then you should come for penetration testing to penetrate, to test the security of a website. Hope you understand everything. Thank you very much.